Hello, and today I'm going to be reviewing some severely underrated games. Golly gee, wow, look at that. There's a person. What? You want to give me the next game? Wow, thank you. The game he was obviously talking about was DOFBox, a collection of small shovelware type games by DOFHouse. The games that are in DOFBox are Blackwell Fishing, Frog Duty, Tomohana, Jeopardizer, and Investment Simulator 1997. I'll start with Blackwell Fishing. Blackwell Fishing is a fishing game where you're a DOF trapped on an oil rig forced to fish for food. The oil rig is owned by an oil drilling company named Blackwell Ltd. And you were unfortunate enough to miss the last evacuation boat after the drilling operation stopped. Now you must fish for food, or else you will die. The game is very fun, and the fishing mechanics are extremely unique. They would do good in a life simulation game along the lines of Animal Crossing. In fact, I do actually like the fishing mechanics in this better than a game like that, even though I'm a super fan of those games. Speaking of fish, there are many strange and peculiar fish surrounding the Blackwell Ltd oil rig. Although, as soon as you go for the first fish, that bleakness disappears, as you'll see how ridiculous these different types of fish really are. Next up is Frog Duty. In Frog Duty, you work in an office, but this office has been overrun by frogs due to ancient gods punishing your company for being too greedy. It is your job to get rid of this endless supply of frogs before it takes over the entire office, or else you're fired. The game is surprisingly addicting. Killing frogs feels very satisfying. The gun is also very satisfying to shoot, as well as the mechanic of fire extinguishers that appear at the edges of the map that you can shoot to explode hundreds of frogs at the same time. But the game does have one problem, and this problem is inherent of it being a small game, part of a big package, is that it doesn't have very much to it. It's very good aesthetically, it has amazing music, but it just doesn't last more than an hour. Next up is Jeopardizer. In this, you play as a secret agent, trying to take out some big cartoonish villain. But at the last moment before you're about to kill them, you get dropped. In this game, you're tasked with taking out as many henchmen before you fall and go flat on the ground. Now, to be honest, I didn't really play this one too much, but from what I did play, it seemed very fun. I don't really have more to say after that. The intro is very well done. Has a nice art style. This next game is called Tomohana. Tomohana is like a weird, freakish baby of Tomodachi life and a Tamagotchi. In this game, you are tasked with taking care of the titular Tomohana. You must feed it and water it. That's basically it. A few hats you can unlock, a few cool rooms. I think the best thing about this game is certainly its visuals. Though I do like its simplicity, as it is very reminiscent of the first generation of Tamagotchis. To be honest with you, I haven't actually played Investment Simulator 1997, and I still can't be bothered to do so. So it seems like this is the game they spent the most amount of time on in the collection, but honestly, it's not one of the games I really want to focus on. I'm sure I'll play it at some point, but I really do want to get onto the actual other games instead of just looking at this DOFBox collection. In conclusion, the DOFBox collection is a charming group of very fun minigames and definitely worth the measly, £3 I paid for it. It is 100% worth it and will bring you around 5 hours of fun for just a very minuscule amount of money. The next game I'll be looking at is a very, very strange one. It's a game called Creatures Docking Station, also known as Creatures 3. It was a very popular kind of like sim-like game during the 90s, late 90s and early 2000s. But nowadays it's been forgotten. But it was recently re-released on Steam, which means I got my grubby little hands on it and was able to play it. At first, it was all very hard to understand, especially considering the lack of guide online or tutorial. But I do usually like just being able to get into something without having to go for a tutorial. So I actually like just being able to figure out everything myself. The art style is so strange. It's so strange, yet I love it. Because it's this mix of really cartoonish proportions with extremely realistic textures, and I love it. There are so many features I can talk about, but really the most interesting is the fact that these things breed and pass down genes. This system is so complex. I mean, I really can't understand how it works. There are so many complex systems within this game that I just don't get, but are very, very cool to see. It's very cool to look at all that inside of the science kit. The sounds the creatures make, the Norns, are so cute. The Norns are also cute themselves, but I'd say the sounds they make more so. And since the Norns are cute, you're gonna really want to protect them, keep them alive, feed them, keep them away from the evil doppelganger things that are like them but evil, called Grendels. I just threw them out of the airlock and then kept doing that as soon as they respawned. So that kept the Norn safe. But also, you can do a bit of torturing of the Norns if you really want to. Like, famously, you might have seen a video on it, in fact, the Anti-Norn, a person called Anti-Norn, who would torture Norns and make horrible, evil Norns using the Science Kit. Speaking of the Science Kit is an extremely useful tool for making freakish creatures. You can combine Norns, Grendels, and Desert Eatons, and whatever other weird modded in things you add later. A feature I especially liked is the ability to send your Norns and Grendels and Desert Eatons, any species, to friends by downloading that Norn as a file and sending the file over to your friends. Usually I just made freakish, horrible creations with horrible names just to, the shock value, just to shock people. But I could see it as a very useful feature, just like how you could like marry Tamagotchis and Tamagotchi Connection. I think that's very, very, very fun feature, and I'm glad they included it. This game may be extremely old and practically nobody plays it, but the people that do play it are extremely dedicated to it and usually very talented at modding the game. A lot of people have made very in-depth tools on creating your own Norns in Blender, which I think is extremely cool, although I'm not nearly enough talented at Blender to actually do something like that. Whoa, look! That little Norn has. I think they have something to say. I think they have something. What? Something they want to give me. Oh, well, thanks, Norn. I suppose I do deserve a gift for protecting you and practically being a parental figure for you for what, an hour, the hour you've been alive. So go on, show me. What is it? Oh, wow. And look at that. That little Norn gave me our next game, a game called Hole on Steam. Now, Hole isn't nearly as obscure as these other games, but I still think it's worth a mention, as I've not really seen a review of the game anywhere else online. It's extremely unique and has an amazing art style, I especially like the way that the game doesn't really use too many colors and instead sticks to a basic set of very monotone like colors. Like there's nothing that sticks out. None of the colors in the game are especially colorful. Everything's grey and bleak, and there's no music. The only sound you'll hear is footsteps, gunshots, and the mutterings of your enemies, as well as the like cartoonishly, like the very cartoonish. It's just, sorry, it's just the juxtaposition between all the other audio in the game and the pickup sound for like the credits, the money in the game, because it's like an arcade sound, unlike everything else in the game, which is very gritty and not really noticeable unless you're fully paying attention to the game. But then there's this large, very loud, weird, like arcadey sound when you pick up, when you pick something up. I just think that's extremely funny. Anyway, back to the gameplay. The gameplay is extremely fun. It feels like you're very systematically going through all the different parts of the map, searching for enemies to kill. Because you don't start off next to any enemies. There's no clear way to go to the enemies, and there isn't enough enemies to actually populate the entire map until very, very like after you've survived for a very long time. So the game goes from an eerie walk through a desolate place, an anticipation if there's going to be an enemy right behind every corner, to just basically a live shootout within the space of about 5 minutes. Because it goes from there being like no enemies at all to hundreds of them swarming you all at once. And during the start of the game, you only have a pistol, which makes it extremely hard to deal with hordes of enemies. Well, I would say that, but headshots basically one-shot everything, so if you have good enough aim, you can kill it. The real problem with dealing with hordes is reload times. If you're stuck reloading next to an enemy, you're dead, because reloading is vulnerable. But that also goes for enemies. Enemies are very vulnerable when reloading as well. And before people that have played Hole before go in the comments, if anyone watches this video at all, and says, well, there's enemies later on that have armor, so you can't headshot them. And to that I say you still can. If you have good enough aim, you can hit between the little visor things and kill them. So yeah, if you have good enough aim, you can really deal with anything with that pistol, as long as you're not stuck reloading. The game, once you really know how to move around the areas, how to deal with all the enemies, then the game becomes quite easy. Still very fun, but the game just becomes easy pretty quickly after you know how to play the game and have gotten a few of the other unlockable weapons. The game is, although that is an extremely good length. I feel like for the amount of money it costs, which I think is a $5, it's around 8 or 9 hours of content. If you're really pushing it, going for that 100%. So extremely worth the money, and I would recommend it any day. Any day of the week or any day of the month. In fact, I would even go as far as to say I would recommend it any second of this minute. Speaking of minutes, there's a Minotaur over there. It's like a Minotaur, but time. Oh wow, Minotaur, you want to give me a game? How generous of you. You're such a kind person. Thank you. Yeah. This next game is a game called Terrain, an evidence of life game. It's very strange. Since there's no information on it online, I had to figure everything out myself, and I just really don't get the objective of the game. I know the objective is to go from planet to planet and harvest the resources, then go to the next. But I don't know. There's so much to it. There's genuinely just so much jam packed into the game that I think I've only played around like 1% of it in around 10 hours, because the game is genuinely just so humongous, and there's no guides online, there's no compilations, I've not looked in the files, and I just like don't know what to do in the game because there's genuinely so much to do. Like there's just so much jam packed into this game that I can do that I don't know what to do because I can't decide whether I go for the bosses or try to upgrade everything first, or however which way you unlock the hats, because I unlocked one hat. I think it was a reference hat to that one song by Jamiroquai, where the person is wearing like a large blue felt hat. But other than that, I don't know how to get hats. There was like an outpost, I think. That didn't give me much. I don't know. I don't even know what that did. I sold plants to it. You can grow plants, by the way. You also have a dog. A robot dog. You also have a robot assistant. You also have a spaceship inside of your big spaceship. It's like a small spaceship that you use to traverse the planets. They're extremely weird and freakish aliens on these planets as well. They're like very, very strange. There's one that's just like a huge head of a person. The head kind of looks like a popular political debater that got shot. So that's weird. The bosses are weird. The bosses look weird. The bosses play weird. The mechanics of the game are weird. The movement's weird. The crafting's weird. The items are weird. The way that weapons work are weird. The game's just so weird in general, but it's so, so, so amazing. And I love it because of just how strange it is. I think it's genuinely one of the, like, sorry, not the strangest, not one of the strangest games I've played. I've got to day 365 on LSD Dream Emulator, but it is certainly a strange game. Well, it's a strange game if you look into it too much like me, I guess. I guess it's strange in that I don't know anything about it, but nothing about the game is really that strange, if you get what I'm saying. But it's a great game. You should definitely buy it for yourself. It's extremely cheap. You should also support the developer. The developer is very small. He only has 3 games: Terrain, then Terrain, an Evidence of Life game, then I think a game called The Hunter's Path. Not played The Hunter's Path yet, but I'm sure it'll be really good once I get it. It looks really good. It's a game about hunting. Looks a lot like Darkwood, if Darkwood wasn't really mysterious and full of weird stuff, and it was just a regular game about hunting. But yeah, I would recommend Terrain, an Evidence of Life game. Very good. And with that comes the end of the video. There are so many other weird, obscure games I want to cover. These probably aren't the weirdest games, they're just obscure. But I do have some more outlandish ones that I can do. But just not now. Bye.